We've got 5 people reading tonight, and tonight is the kind of the reading that goes with this symposium on race, poetry and poetics in the UK that we've organised between a few of us working kind of affiliated to University of Sussex and Royal Holloway. Our project is kind of, the symposium is really small because we're hoping it's going to be a much bigger project with like some institutional backing, and that we can have some more conferences and more readings like this. But basically, because we started putting it together, we really wanted to do some things. This is what we've done. We've got 5 readers tonight. They're all going to be reading for roughly about 10 minutes, so it's going to be quite short. In the first half, we're going to hear from Cathy Weedon, Victoria Ann Bulley, and Talha Ahsan. It's not working very well. I should really start. And in the second half, we're going to hear from Sandy Palmer and Michael Zand. So, without further ado, please welcome Cathy to come read.
Don't get up. Hi, Cathy Weedon. I'm just going to read a few poems from my series 1 to 50. When I started to write 1 to 50, I was studying for my masters and reading quite a lot of feminist literature. It made me reflect on my own upbringing and my childhood, and I started to question my position as a black woman in this patriarchal society. Now 1 to 50, it's not autobiographical. However, there are aspects of me within the mosaic. Without further ado. Perfumed, wet grass, reality exposed, a trajectory of sound. To have a double life, she humanized and familiarized, abstract from surroundings. A miserable life's attempt to illuminate. The song seized and left, dazzled. I saw the world divided, the moans of its subjects, earth-stained and rootless. I crossed the boundary line. A garden of wallflowers, innocent, trusting expressions, so sweet and saintly, sadness of neglect. An electric shock flared. A little alley of women stood on the edge of an abyss. The sound of a tap running. Grown resilient, complete yet untouched for years, an alarm clock would rouse the diseased and damaged. Clack, clack of the knitting needles, an unfair comparison, it hurt. Mouth pressed, a surface of glass, continued. With sudden force, a fertile sprawl so multifarious that light was black. A perfect setup for a true neurotic. Immigrants, from that political darkness, confusion but for their faces, could I settle in either? Layer upon swirling layer peeping through the window. A huddle of sick people, thickly splattered, they stray. A russet-coloured moon, I watched it disappear. Crushed velvet, estranged eyes veiled, improved by shock treatment. I can't escape this dream of friends in a commune, tormented and slightly dim, whispering, bushes with access to clean air, she had been crying, trusting who, ill-advised on a ledge, the 4th floor, don't understand. Who is the other? Raindrops on the back. My hand, under the dark arch of a bridge, absurd and doomed. It gets worse. This red drop. Is it blood? A green dome on the lawn approached. Mistaken roofs and more lies. We begin to argue. No wild or disquieting noises. The well-heeled in handsome red brick had been plotting. A hopeless start, then failing in space to make sense of this chaos, told me to jump. Burning cheeks pressed, against who, in human form, but the pounding of a heart, sounds under the line, silenced, dark rocks of a cliff face, banished poverty from its habitual place, a uniformity there, gleaming skeletal wished-for wings with tongue and teeth and a rasp of beard, eyes widened and stare, garnet-coloured, can't see who's who. Absolute absence of light, dragged by waving arms and jumping. That face lay beneath a mask, a wire to bite. I shut my eyes, unprepared for a wingless flocking of ravens watching me in. The gilded mirror assessing eyes, what terrible thing had I done, and violently staged. This innocent yet confined life, the person in the mirror paralysed, a white-faced woman in a mad hat, I begun to shudder before a race, defenceless, isolated, from fear of a kind, for I felt both. Bloody sheets out the window, straight to prison, a gate, don't cry, failed fairy tale, the sacrificial victim, that waxwork stillness and unspoken, pale green shanties and sufferers, half man, half beast, unreflective eyes in unfamiliar shapes, those babies in jars, which hunt, the woman named, a rare talent for corruption. She's a collage, a body, a vessel of sin. The end, a dark corridor, pale grey, eyes look, flying just the pall, reflections discoloured, the iridescent mirror, dropping dead of exhaustion, and God knows they suffered. Here, intersections of flesh upon flesh, parrot cages and dressmakers' dummies, non-native, a van load of shame, the perfumed lilies she sniffed, a jar full of candy wrappers, orange peel and seaweed. Innocent flowers long ago, the silk cord dangled, her neck. She trod a muddy path, a piano perfectly in tune, a big cage, in the basement their political turmoil. Corpses, I can smell the blood, sparkling like semi-precious stones, fluttering feisty women and men to spare. Scrubbed the stain more vivid it grew, a cultural war to reclaim, reluctant eyes veiled. This time it was. It was not fancy. Hands go limp, a crucial second. His long black corporate socks shadowed a reality of life. The flowers nodded like bright children. Drop out, the race, hand brushed, her breast, and women sitting up and knitting, tut-tutting, on time, online, the hookup culture. A mass of lilies exhaled, eyes opened in the dark, a trail of human exposed, as big as his, her ego. While still soft flake flakes float. With bitter sorrow mingled, they kneel and kiss this native earth. A tangle of thorns faded, relapsed into blank silence, seething crowd kicking, suspension of reality. This place of privilege, monologue of a foreign resistance. Her character, an admirable eye, glances between velvet curtains, starve or work. She stumbles on a stagnated society. Angry, she shakes that doll. Flowers grown by invisible gardeners. There is no question of forgiveness. Solitary, with windows boarded, a voice or a cave full of echoes, glorious and sunshine free, reframes our view of a young girl carved, a single pearl, the loss of joy, who counts the undeserving, poor, stares with green inscrutable eyes. Picture ourselves in the past, a box of coloured silks. I don't blame, but our bloodline.
That's the shortest journey I've ever had to do so. You have to forgive me because it was my mum's birthday last weekend and my brother got her some massive lilies, but I now can't breathe very well because they're so fragrant. My name is Victoria. I'm a member of Barbican Young Poets, and I'm going to read some of the work that I've done as part of that, and also some work that I'm sort of fine-tuning for a manuscript. First one is called Diptych 76. Mythology. Mythology is the bread of this nation. There are no myths here. They make new ones each morning, which they forget by tomorrow. This present state of recall is archipelagic, but myths demand memory, needing to survive. When Grandpa asked Uncle, Dad, my cousins and I if we were his children, our yes was a yeast-like yes, and we were myths in flesh, raising his spirit to say, well, in that case, we thank God. Tradition. Tradition isn't always about lying. Tradition is a step in time that ends decades of trying to return to a place unnamed on a modern map. The songs they used to sing there, with that rhythm you still dance to. Watch Van Logger and see. The feet have muscle memory. They testify to the dust, tread bloodlines between past and present, and from the wrong side they will not reach freedom, but ka kweo nonetheless. Some things you learned early and quietly, via no vote, referendum or consensus, skirts rolled up at the waists, belt lines curled over themselves like puckered lips, hemlines lifting like smoke, no fire. Girl, where did you get that smile from? Skirt hems border between two countries that aren't friends, just a little fun. Modesty in remission, last row of the crop before the prairie ends, then moving up in the world like a safety curtain. But when are you 16 though? Nothing wrong to be done here, much worse than bad grades, and you're top of the class, so speak when you're spoken to, honey. Smart but too shy, lips all shut, mouth peanut tied tight like a top button. tongue tired like shoelaces dragged through dirt, but don't you want to notice this thick red theatre curtain rise? Behind it, all Oz, no wizard, no witch. This isn't Kansas anymore, babe. No lie, no Tigger, no teddy bears here. So I went on a retreat last summer. It wasn't a writing retreat, I haven't done that yet. I was a student at the time, I was studying at SOAS, and I could get on the retreat for cheaper because student discount. So I decided to go. And it was amazing, but I didn't write anything about it until a month ago. So this is called Retreat. 4. Ruby said nothing. Ruby cuts a tube of penne in half with the side of her fork. A slow motion blade stooping to kiss the back of my neck. A warning, eat before it gets cold, before you forget how to do it. Until now, I jigsawed her exposition to find the best fit. Satisfied, I clean my plate. 2. I haven't seen a wasp in years, but there are wasps here, larger than the ones I remember. Padma, with her Parkinson's, our retreat leader, climbs the bunk bed, removes a hornet from the room with a cup. 3. Eric is a 65-year-old retired father just like Dad. You remind me of my dad, I tell him. The only difference being, of course, that you're white. 4. Everybody has bought and is studying one of the many Dharma books here on sale, except Alistair, 84, who reads Alistair Campbell instead. 5. I am in the shrine room closest to Buddha when Eric is crying. We two are the only ones left, but the room is vacant and loud with her humming Susan, Susan between each caught breath. 1. The week begins when I turn off my phone. I delete the world as an infant does. I keep my palms snug over my eyes until I realize I do not own a watch or an alarm clock. 8. Brother, may you be well, may you be happy, may you be free from suffering. 7. On the last evening, a sunset, my turn in the kitchen. Ruby offers to take my shift so that I can walk with the others. This is the first time she's volunteered to speak to me, and when she calls me, I hear it like a song and begin to love my name. 6. Barbara waves until my rear view mirror swings her face and wind-up hand out of sight. I will see her again several times. I don't know this, or that she will visit my house, even sit with me on the floor of my parents' room where it is quiet, or that whenever I picture her, no matter how far in the future, she will always be waving goodbye. So the next one is called Terminal Index, and it's about the fact that I can't speak my parents' language, and I think it's just a shame, because I always think that once they're no longer here, that language, that music is not going to be around me anymore because I can't play it. So far, what I have is you, Dad, migrating from sitting room, bottom right-hand side of the house, 2 floors skywards to the loft, then back earthbound to catch signal. Hello? Onui, Onui, can you hear me? And though my slides split and leak laughs into the internet at this telecom farce, I will know what that phrase means for the rest of my life. And then you, Mum, downstairs with a more local transmission, Phone warm at your cheeks, clan marks, now transmitters, breathing, oh, Wayemi, I am well, God is good. Or you, Mum, with me on the floor of the kitchen, my kneecap a bar of soap ablaze, my mouth a chimney of how, and your Bob, conjured to end pain, unspill milk, or unspool thread tied too tautly around a veil of braided hair. So far, my menagerie of terms is small fragment, speck, found object, sound, word and phonic, but I keep it, collect, collate, and conceal it, under head and pillow, just as Grandma cashes money, in case she ever needs it, in case it one day grows. Did they know the land you grew up in? Did they watch you from above the water, you moving about their waists like distorted fish? Baby gold koi coasting black hole-mouthed at the surface, bigger when viewed askew. Seems they came in from the red sand, birthed you in the water, and you grew gills, girl, long ago. But in your sleep you still say, don't leave me here. You turned 4, learned to add dates of birth and wait on loneliness, but your people are not nomadic. Why must you be homeless now? In your blood you are a pagan, a Mohammedan, a Hebrew, a lover of Christ. Why would you choose now? You are the baby of returnees. You are the blood-let future of the Malay revolt, always forever going home, with language, a key in the porch, just under the rug, and yet you feel locked out, with no sign of a spare, and no bones to pick with. I think this is my last one. This is called 15. With a hopscotch grid for a wrist, see my sad boy with a smile like a one-string guitar, relative to nobody, yet out of tune, dropping out of school, out of line, saying, I love you, more than life itself, in a first Valentine's card, during the spring term in which we turned 15, in the attic of an old phone now, here he is again, in a drawer I was cleaning out, during a hymn I was singing before I met him, and here he is, my sad boy. Now watch this older girl stop and cast her day out with the dust and get sad too. This whole impermanence thing is deceptive, looks lifelong actually to me, sat here still moulding mason jars of words to preserve him with, wondering if a poem 10 years on is still a pining, asking how many more I will make before I learn how little of us keeps. Thank you.
My name is Talha Ahsan. The piece called I Other other as in another, other people, and Stani as in Central Asian countries. And so the world was divided into Hairistan and Theristan. You can't call it revenge if the killing occurred at the same time. Those killings feed into each other like a swirling figure of hate and blood. The numbers grow, infinity groans and falls to his side. Murderers are best left unasked about their views on euthanasia. Each grapples for the beginning of blame as the knife-wielding hand reaches for the end. In conflict, their limbs are more intertwined than the bodies of lovers wrestling over a capital disputed both called murder back. If only this Mobius strip simply existed in pastry, and the roar of the mob was hot oil inside him. The geometry of death weaves a map across the terrain each calls mine. Where do you go? Where would you live? Is your country the one you will be born in or the one you died in? Let the vultures decide with their robins. Those who yearn to belong to that country of birds whose geography is air are made to endure hard labour in the cage. Your mother tongue is not the one you read or write, but with which you dream, laugh and screaming under torture. Welcome to Otherstone. Find us between the gaps of words, the hollows between syllables. The lingua franca is of sighs, yawns, farts and sneezes. Its rivers are no better than running noses, its hills and mountains disappointing as any lover's knees. Otherstone, a republic where each man is king because each woman is kingmaker. A national anthem is a minute's silence. Eventually the abacus tips. The number of dead is too large, the sand timer is too heavy to lift. The fruits on branches grow rich with flesh. They pump out like cheeks swelled with vomit. The trees creak off their knees, straighten their backs, and raise a head of laughter to the sun. The water rumbles with fish. O earth, 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 hear the word of the Lord, be the better son Adam. Take an oath of fealty with me, I remain truly in Otherstone. That was a poem I wrote whilst held in solitary confinement in a US death row prison. And this poem is about the person who sent me there. It's called A Sonnet of Grime for the Right Honourable Teresa May. Silver bouffant, saucy smile, kitten heels. Terrorists dare not even speak your name. Your predecessors made some dodgy deals. Some people are so blind they lack the shame. A Euro judgment clears the USA, so party in a pair of Jimmy Choos and shake it down, my darling bud of May. What else will show you are my greatest muse? The love that dare not speak its name is true, my lonely candle burning in despair. I flicker with the dreams I wish you knew. Don't snuff them out, just smother me with care. Teresa May, my babe, my crazy chick, all I ask, drop this extraditing stick. So, imagine in tomorrow's seminars and discussions, the subject of religion will come up. Not that religion causes a lot of harm and sadness in the world, but I think we should realise for some people it can be a source of solace and defiance against tyranny. This is called This Be the Answer. A prisoner on his knees scrubs around a toilet bowl, and the bristles of the brush scuttles to and fro, as a guard swaggers over to yell rather than ask, "Where is your God now?" And the prisoner, still on his knees, his brush still cleaning, answers, "He's with me now, God. My God is with me now, hearing and seeing, whilst your superiors, when they see you, do not look at you, and when they hear you, do not listen to you. My God is risen above the heavens and closer to me than my jugular vein, whilst your superior is no different to you. I allow you no further than the desk. My God wants me to call him, whilst your superiors demand you knock, and when I go towards him handspan, he comes to me a yard, and when I go to him walking, he comes to me running. Ignorance is cured by knowledge, and the key to knowledge is to ask. Less now the explanation, and more a question mark. The guard sulks away, and a prisoner on his knees, still as he can pray.